Welcome to the official launch of the Out of the Box podcast. I am in J Got Soul studio, in-home studio, and I am your host, J Got Soul. You are tuned into season 2, episode 3 of the Out of the Box podcast. Thank you to those of you that have supported my podcast thus far. We are in the midst of a transition, so I'm going to need all of your continued support as I continue to build on this platform. So if you're watching this platform, please share this broadcast so we can reach as many people as possible. I hope you enjoyed this episode. But before we get started, we're going to start with a word of prayer. Dear God, thank you for another opportunity to share this time and space with our guest who's coming on, Celestine Ezekiel. God, we are grateful for this opportunity to share with the people. We ask that you allow us to speak to someone who needs to hear this message today. God, we ask that you keep us covered in your protection. Amen. All right, you guys. So before we get started, we're going to hit this intro clip so y'all can see how we get down on the Out of the Box podcast, and we'll be right back. Stay tuned. Welcome back. And so right now, we're going to get into the Mind Your Future with the Past in Mind segment. This segment was started so that I can share some tips about my brand as well as just some things that I've learned along the way in this financial literacy journey. As most of you guys know, I have a brand called Black Money Matters, Act Like It. And so the point of this brand was to push financial literacy in our communities. I started writing back in 2017 articles about Black Wall Street, and I was really just fascinated with how our people were able to circulate their dollars in their community and build an economic structure, even through a time where laws prohibited whites and blacks from doing business together. There was so many things that kind of prohibited us from really moving forward, but despite all of that, we still found a way to do it. So one of the things that I want to talk about with our community is, investing as opposed to spending. I was having a conversation with my homie Mikey, and we were just talking about just ideas of how to build assets. A lot of times we think that we have to build with so much money. You need thousands of dollars and things like that. But, from my research, I learned that $5 a month can get you fractions of a share of a product that you probably use every day. Like, for instance, I know that I use Nike a lot. I buy Nike shoes and things like that. Playing basketball, Nike is one of the top brands. So I'm looking in my closet and I'm just kind of like, I wear Nike shoes. I'm consuming Nike shoes. So now I'm thinking like, hey, what if I bought some stock in Nike? Now I have some level of ownership. So if I go buy that shoe, I'll buy that shoe with more of a sense of pride as opposed to, I got to spend this money and how I'm going to get it back. So in our Mind Your Future with the Past in Mind segment, I just want to, give you guys a little nugget as to how you can start. Just first do your research. Do your research on what's the best fit for you in your financial situation. Always take inventory of your finances. And then once you find that best option, go for it. You'll feel a lot better. Your money will be growing as opposed to you spending it. And so that's one of the ways that we can start to build, a level of generational wealth. So take that nugget and we're going to get on with the show. All right, you guys. So today's guest is Celestine Ezekiel. Our guest is the executive director of Cry Out LA. He has been a mentor in my journey and has been impacting the youth in many ways. And we are excited to learn more about what he got going on in the community. So, out of the box family, help me welcome our guest, Celestine Ezekiel.
Hey, Jay, it's good to be here.
Yes, good to have you.
Yeah. You took a stab at that name though, but I just got to fix it real fast. It's spelled with an E, but it's Ezinquo. When I'm in Nigeria, I say Ezinquo because it has the tone is everything. But my name is Celestine Ezinquo, and I'm Nigerian born and, have lived here for about 18 years, and I'm the executive director of Cry Out. Do I just go ahead and share about, a little bit?
Well, yeah, share with us about where you're from. Tell us a little bit about that. Because I haven't had any guests from Nigeria, so I think that'll be a great start to the conversation.
Yeah. So I'm born and raised. I moved here when I was 19. I'm 37 now, so I've been here for a minute. And I started an organization called Cry Out, in 2009 with my wife. And one of the reasons we started Cry Out is being an African, lived in LA, encountered a situation with the police in 2007. And pretty quickly, I realized that there was something going on here in America that I was not hip to. And it was racism. It was a situation. I was coming home from a Bible study from Culver City. My wife and I were dating at a time, and the cops followed me from that neighborhood, and it was a chopper over my head at the end of the follow. And what ended up happening was, it was 5 cop cars and a chopper over my head for going to Bible study. I was thinking, but they said that I fit the description of someone that committed crime in the area that I was at, and in the 10-mile radius, the only person the car that they found that matched it was mine. Long story short, they treated us really poorly, humiliated us in the way that they addressed us, my buddies and I. And it just inspired me to start this work, Cry Out. Because one thing that happened in that space is I kept my cool. I knew I wasn't the person they were looking for, so I didn't let the frustration get to me. I think a lot of African American brothers and sisters get frustrated, at the system, and in a way, the system works against you even harder because of that frustration. So really, the vision of Cry Out is using music and the visual arts as a way to empower young people to cry out for these issues, right? If we don't talk about these experiences, the world around us are not going to know, right? It's a lot of white people in 2020 that understood what a lot of us Black folks are talking about when we say there is oppression, we are profiled, we are followed in the stores, we are treated differently in this country. Some people got to see it firsthand in 2020, and I think that gives us more allies. So really, that's the vision of my work is entering that space and being able to have a conversation and being able to equip some young people, especially in South Central LA, with the tools to be able to navigate our society in general, whatever issue it is that they're dealing with.
That's important. I love that, that's the reason why you started it. And it kind of brings me back to understanding why I connect so much with you in the Cry Out community, because, and I've never shared this story with you, so that's an interesting, segue. But when I was in high school, it was my graduation day, right? I graduating, me and my friends were ready to go out. We're about to go. I think we were going bowling. And I'm like excited. So we're heading out the house. Soon as we are running, we're actually walking across the street, but we see a cop car driving super fast down a one-way street, and it's like, okay, what's going on? So we run across the street. They pull over and they both draw their guns and they're telling us to put our hands up. They come and do the whole search thing, put us in the back of the car and go next door to where I live to go see what was going on. They didn't ask any questions. They didn't do anything. It was just kind of like, that was my experience. And like, after that, I was just kind of like very distrustful. Like, even if I was partially distrustful, I was very distrustful of the system and how everything works, because it's kind of like, well, I'm a kid, so how do you kind of reconcile that? And so just the experience of coming to Cry Out and doing the music and really just being able to express myself. I hadn't had that. So now at 30, 31, I feel like this is the space, to do that. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that story. I didn't know that happened to you, and I'm sorry that happened to you. And it happens to a lot of us, and a lot of young people deal with those things in isolation, and there's no way we should. That's not a healthy way to navigate those dynamics. So I'm super passionate about really doing these things in community. One of the biggest things that I love from the way that Gandhi approached the British oppressors in India, and also Martin Luther King was a student of Gandhi. Like, he learned his strategy of anti-violence demonstration and everything that he did from Gandhi. And one of the things that he did was, that Gandhi did was, he treated his oppressors with in such a way that they did not have anything on him. They didn't have any reason to keep oppressing him. And I think that's him tapping into our human element. There's a part of us that you can't beat somebody that's surrendered. You can't, oppress someone that's showing you love, right? And I really, it's kind of a controversial stance, in that, some of us have experienced this firsthand and are sick of it, and I don't want to belittle that. But at the same time, what I am saying is, if you get into tussling with the system and with the oppressor, it puts you lower to their level. So you need to rise above them in order to be able to defeat them. And a lot of that comes from having knowledge and understanding how the system works and being connected.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with that. Especially with the brand, with my brand, Black Money Matters, it was all about research. You know what I mean? It's all about researching what happened then that created this scenario, but what can be done now that provides a solution, as opposed to constantly complaining and now I want to be an agitator and now I want to, go out here and cause a lot of mischief. Like, no, there's ways that we can do this that's healthy for our community. You know what I mean? So I think that that's important. But so I wanted to ask you, who is Celestine? Let us know who's the man behind the plan.
Oh, well, the man behind the plan. I like that. That sounds like a big responsibility there. I will say, who am I? I'll speak from really what's the most visible in my life right now. I'm a father to 3 beautiful girls. I'm a husband to 1 wife. It sounds like a scripture that I'm about to read. And I run this nonprofit, empowering young people. I am a soccer parent, meaning my daughters are super invested in soccer. We're super invested. My bank account is super invested. And my daughters play like 6 days of soccer a week, and they kill. Like, they did not stand like when they're with their peers, they stand out, just because they put in the work and they love it. So after that, I just support that. Um, you know, I my wife is married. My wife that I'm married to is white. So culturally, I have this rich Nigerian side. Live in the community here in LA, South Central, with a white wife and that comes from Pennsylvania. That's Snow County and everything over there is white. So when I show up, it looks different. But my point of sharing that is I've been able to navigate different cultures from being a Christian that grew up in a predominantly Muslim community, being able to navigate that space as a kid. Now living in America with all these cultural makeups, I speak 3 languages, 2 of the languages being Nigerian languages. So I'm going all over the place, but my point of sharing all these things is I feel like my makeup has put me in different spaces where I constantly have to figure out how to navigate different culture and environments that I find myself in. From growing up in a totally different environment to now living in an environment that, I am seen as African American, just at face value. But the reality is there's a lot of cultural parts of me that makes me unique. That makes me move in the way that I move. So yeah, that's a little bit of kind of sharing a picture of the diversity that makes up Celestine.
Okay, got you. Okay, so before we go to our break, I just got one more question, and I always like to talk about this because great stories come out of this question. How did we meet?
Oh yeah, how did we meet? You know, I think at first, Jay, I saw you online, and I used to see, Black Money Matters, and I just thought, man, this is such a dope concept. And I think the reason why you ended up on our Instagram was because of your friendship with Mikey. Pretty soon, Mike is like, "Oh, there's a friend of mine you got to meet, Jay, Jessica." Mike is super excited, and I say, "All right, let's do it." So I think prior to us meeting officially, you came to an event hosted by a mutual friend, Charles Keys, called Over the Hump. So we interacted at that event like high and by, and one time at my house when Mikey scheduled a meeting for us to meet at the front, we sat down and talked, and I connected with your heart, Jay. I connected with just how authentic a person that you are. I think LA, comes a lot of times with just people with a lot of agendas. I just loved, kind of seeing your heart, your passion, like the stuff that you've done to fight for your family. I think it's your nephew, right?
My niece.
Niece, right? So seeing all that, I just felt like, this is someone that I gotta be around. And then it turned out you were needing help in the, figuring out a nonprofit. And I was like, hey, this is a great opportunity to just journey with this, amazing individual. So that's how we met.
I appreciate that. No, I enjoyed the time meeting you guys, and the fact that you guys opened up your house, for us to actually have those meetings, I thought was awesome. But when I finally met you, I'm like, the motherland. I got a connection with the motherland. But no, it was also just the authenticity of your personality. It was just always cool, welcoming, and then seeing what you do with Cry Out. And I already had a mentee who I'm like, oh, she'll be perfect for this, space, and just meeting you guys and being around good people. Like, okay, this is an awesome opportunity. So, I mean, ever since then, we've been rocking, and it's been a great journey.
Yeah, I appreciate you.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to take our break, and we're going to go to this clip. You guys get a chance to kind of see a little bit for yourself what Cry Out and what Celestine is doing behind the scenes. So y'all check this out, and we'll be right back. Okay, actually, you know what? We're just gonna continue on with our show. We're gonna bring in Mikey. Let's cue in Mikey, and we're gonna chop it up about just the impact. You know, I want to introduce Mikey. Mikey is a dope artist. Mikey is a lot of things that she don't put in her resume, but you know, she's a youth leader. She's a music teacher. She's taught me a lot about, you know, just creating music and things like that. So, first of all, Mikey, welcome. Thank you for coming on.
So, Mikey.
What's up, y'all? What's going on?
How you doing?
I'm good. I'm chilling, man. Chilling, excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell us about your role in Cry Out.
Man, so my role in Cry Out, I don't even know. I'll be making up titles, Celestine. I'll be like a music program, director, curator, teacher, mentor. I don't know. But
you work for a nonprofit.
Right. But yeah, nah, so yeah, with Cry Out, man, I just work with the young people, create, you know, musical like opportunities. You know what I'm saying? And just create events and things for them to do to be able to grow and express themselves. So whether that's on an individual level, I'll do one-on-ones with them and help them personally grow with songwriting and things like that. And then I kind of host writing workshops and open mics. So that's pretty much the gist of it. And also run the social media and create the visual content for the organization. So
okay. So I want to ask both of you, and I'm gonna go to Celestine first. How have you seen Cry Out impact the lives of, you know, the participants?
Yes. So we've been around for 12 years, and the first group of young people that I work with, this was around 2009. They were around age 14. Some of them are 28, 27 now. The way that I've seen Cry Out impact, especially that group, is the way that we came along them and became an extension of their community.
Okay.
Right. And really not just community, but family. You know how they talk about it takes a village. A lot of these young people I journeyed with in the capacity of really working alongside their parents, you know, to support them in ways that, you know, their parents, you know, couldn't. And it wasn't because of a lack of, you know, capacity. It just takes, it's a different space that you take up as a mentor, where you come in and you're not a threat to a young person versus a parent. You know, they don't tell you about their relationships. They don't tell you about some of the things that they're, you know, grappling with. You find out in kind of a different way versus a mentor like myself. They share the deepest, darkest with us, and we're able to navigate, you know, how to, you know, encourage them and empower them. So I would say just, you know, having kids, not kids, having young people. I try not to call them kids, even though when I met them, they were kids because they're grown now. They could be me. But, you know, kind of, you know, being a part of their family, being a part of their journey, and impacting them, you know, for a long period of time to kind of shape, you know, who they are and who they become. So that's probably the biggest impact. Lastly, I'll say this is these group of kids that I worked with, I call them kids again. I ended up, you know, like some of them are just family. There's no way else I think of them. Like if they're in Los Angeles, they're staying at my house, you know.
Right.
If I need someone to watch my kids, they're watching my kids. Like there's no other way to think about it. We're family. you know. So that's kind of how I would say the biggest influence that we've had on some of these young people.
Nice. Mikey, how have you seen Cry Out impact their lives?
It's so crazy. We're actually preparing for annual fundraiser, and I've actually, you know what I'm saying, like linked up with the participants, and I'm like, yo, how have we impacted your life? You know what I'm saying? Because I can kind of look and anticipate and assume, oh man. So I'm gonna tell you what they said, you know what I'm saying, straight up, where, you know, some have said like, yo, crowd has been a part of my healing process. You know what I'm saying? It's been a tool for me to help to navigate like what I've been going through in life. It's helped me through the pandemic, right? Going through that, like giving them something to do, you know what I'm saying, to be excited about. You know, one of them, because, you know, Celestine also helps to run a program called Relationship Smarts, right? And one of the girls was like, yo, I was excited. Like there was nothing to do. So, you know, other than that, it was like a place to go and have something to do. Another person was like, yo, like I'm actually growing as a writer. Like I've never wrote as much. And I actually like, you know, I've never been this consistent, you know, and it's been something that I love to do, but it's just knowing we coming every other week, I need to be ready, you know. And another person was like, yo, like it actually jump started my passion for music, you know. And so there's just so many things that they said that really blessed me. And like they have like kind of like goals now and like hope as far as like they have like ideas. Like one is starting a clothing line already, like, yo, I started this. So it's just really interesting to hear how it's like really impacted them. Even just on a small level, it's like, hey, I'm excited because I have somewhere to go. One said community. He was like, yo, like it's a place where I can enjoy the things that I love to do with other people who like enjoy the same thing, to be able to do that with other people. He was like, that's so precious to me, you know. And I'm like, how old are y'all? Like,
right.
Oh, you know, so those are like actual words from some of their mouths, you know, and it encouraged me because I'll be going through it. I'm like, you know, and it's like, man, I got to get up, because even if it is just a 30-minute Zoom call with them, it's like, it really mean a lot, you know, because I'm dragging to get to them and to do it. It's like, it's just been super valuable for them. And so, yeah.
Now, I could back that too, because like I was saying earlier, my mentee is also now, you know, working with Cry Out, like in the music aspect of it. And so she'll hit me randomly. Like now she's contacting me more about writing her music. Before it was like, hey, you writing? Hey, have you been writing? You know what I'm saying? So I could see that change. And it's like, yeah, I've been practicing every day. I want to share with you my flows. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, wow, like this program really works, you know? And then even with us talking about, you know, the relationships one, you know, we now have a connection with that, working on something, you know, in the upcoming weeks about bringing that to schools, you know, and teaching the athletes about relationships and things like that, you know? So, so we're going to take a short break. We're going to go to our first clip, and we'll be right back with Celestine and Mikey. Y'all stay tuned.
I'm leading the battle. That's directing the cattle. I'm leading the team. I'm a snake to the rattle. It's my domain. I'm the king of the castle. Maintaining the peace, locking the doors. Guess who got the keys? I'm standing with my people. We off of our knees. Slaying my foes. I do it with ease. If it's positive, I'm with it. Got it unlocked. My mind is acidic. If you don't like that, admit it. Yeah, that's all I got so far.
So you guys see, you know, this is, who is that? You guys tell us who that is.
That's Kaden Brown, you know, young genius. And he probably wrote that piece that he shared, just, you know, full disclosure. He probably wrote it 3 minutes before he shared it. Right. So, you know, and this is kind of Mikey's piece. Mikey makes that space happen. So I'll have Mikey kind of talk about that.
Yeah, man. So we do something called Pass the Ox. But before that, we do a writing session. And so the beat that you heard, one of the participants, John, is a fire producer. This kid is amazing. So we have him run one of his beats. And I just have people kind of write, you know. And at this point, we kind of did like a vote. Like, yo, what do we want to talk about? I think Celestine kind of mentioned it. It was like, yo, leadership, you know, and that was, you know, his piece on leadership, you know. And yeah, it's just cool. They're getting more like confident and comfortable with sharing in front of each other, you know, because that's why I posted that. It's because he wasn't finished, you know, he was just like, you know, and so just exercising that muscle for them has been like really dope. So yeah, that's kind of what was going on.
Nice. Okay, so let's get into like the type of programs that Cry Out offers.
Yeah.
Kind of share, you know, a little in depth of what that.
Yeah, I'll take that one. So I don't know what's going on with my screen. Am I good?
Yeah, you're good now. Yeah.
Okay. Ooh, it looked like I was tripping there for a minute.
Right.
I'm vanishing slowly. So as long as you can hear me, just let me know. The programs that we offer two programs. One is called the Relationship Smarts, Love Notes. And really that program is the program that we give the kids, or we take the kids through teaching them about relationship and healthy options, right? Healthy behavior, healthy conflict, management, right? Especially in the pandemic, it's a lot of crazy people out here now. You know, like if you be looking at those apps that be sending us notification about what's going on in the neighborhood, it's ridiculous what's going on out here. So it's not just limited to the adults; it's the kids too. Kids are into some crazier stuff now because they've been isolated so long. So we're using this Relationship Smarts program to really, you know, in a way, check the kids' smarts when it comes to relationships. How long are you dating before you jump in deeper, right? So we recommend that they go 3 months, evaluate, 6 months, evaluate, 9 months before you make a life-changing decision, right? And that applies to adults. And speaking of the pioneers of this program, because we're teaching it, we're just housing the program within Cry Out. But the pioneers of the program really adopted the material from counseling, adult counseling. And these are some of the things that adults learn in counseling that we're teaching these kids. And the idea is, instead of us to wait for them to get to counseling and then we start to fix them, let's give them the resource ahead of time, and hopefully they never make it to counseling, right? And counseling is great. You know, you don't even need it to go partake of it. So that's one of the programs. And the second program that we offer is called Music and Justice Initiative. And it became kind of in the pandemic, we decided to put a lot of the different programs that we offered together, making this. And really the Music and Justice Initiative is teaching the kids about history from the Black perspective, right? Understanding what really happened to our people, the Black people, all the way from Africa to America. What happens to us today that are still, you know, a repeat of what we've dealt with historically, right? So we teach them about those things. We get them, you know, informed, get them, you know, woke, so to speak. And in turn, we start to give them tools to teach them how to songwrite, how to produce, how to record, and also how to perform. So the hope is when we give them that information, when they go to write, they're writing about the stuff that now is in the front of their mind, right? About their experience as an African American, and our audience is predominantly African Americans. So those are the two programs that we offer, and what Mikey talked about, the Pass the Ox, is kind of also the music part of that Music and Justice Initiative. So we show the kids different ways, and you know, to kind of empower them musically. and then we give them information that gets them fired up. And the idea is that it starts to come out in the music. They start to talk about those issues, and hence the name Cry Out. You know, vision is accomplished, right? So, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything you want to add, Mikey?
Yeah, man, these programs are like really like vital, and I think they're really foundational, where it's like working through who you are as a person, because with the relationship smarts, it's not just like, oh, navigate relationships and talking about sex and talking about, like, the first couple of ones, like chapters, is like, yo, what do you value? What are your values? Who are you? You know what I mean? Like, what are your boundaries? What are your goals in life? You know what I'm saying? Like, it gets you, you start thinking about you. And like you said, it is like an adult counseling thing. Because even with me, with I was kind of, when I was helping to teach this part of it, I was practicing with some of my homies. Why are we crying? Oh my God. I mean, crying, hurt. Like, there was one piece about maturity, and it was like, I'm not emotionally mature and I'm 30. I'm not socially mature and I'm, you know, and it's like, you know, we need this. You know what I'm saying? So to be able to serve the young people, like, yo, we giving y'all some stuff. You know what I'm saying? That we still working through ourselves, you know. It's just so powerful. And then with the music piece, them being able to express. So I think it's dope to take in really dope information, learn who you are, learn about your history and what's going on, and then have an outlet to be able to express it. You know what I'm saying? A space where we bring people out, you know, to know like your voice matters. There's people here, you have the mic and you can say what you want to say, as opposed to, who knows, you in the home and it's like, whatever, shut up. You know, you can't say no. You know what I'm saying? It's like a space for them to really just get off, you know what I'm saying? But they can also, we're also giving them something to help them to like process and navigate and to grow. You know what I'm saying? With it. So I think it's just a perfect combination when it comes to like yourself and relationships, because that's one of the most important things. Like, there's so many different types of relationships we have. And then, like I said, learning like your environment, you feel me, your atmosphere, where you at, and then being able to express yourself. So I feel like those programs, they just work together so well, and you can see it in the ones who have been through all of them. Man, you can see the impact and the growth. So yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna actually take our break, and we're gonna go to the first clip to share a little bit about the program, so that the audience can really get an idea of what we're doing. So we'll be right back.
Cry Out is the name of this after-school program in Renton, inspired by a Bible verse.
And it says, cry out for those that can't cry out for themselves, for the oppressed. Be a father to the fatherless, a mother to the motherless. And that's what inspires us, because some of these kids, they go through things they don't even have anyone to talk to.
I still want to see what you see, because living in this world isn't easy.
Each one learning about life.
You can build up leadership abilities and befriend other people, and it helps me in my writing.
They actually care about us. Like, they tutor us after school.
Wanna be thugs, not to skip the bugs. Like the rest of us.
So it's like develop me as a person, as a man.
It's not about just music, it's about life. It's about living life together as a community.
You're not evil, you're a wuss, and you're a minded side. Because that's what it's all about, finding your voice with Virginia Tech and then using it in a positive way.
All right, you guys. So let's get right back into it. Do you have any events and projects that is coming up that the people need to know about?
Yes, we do. I think my internet might be glitching, but I'm just gonna try to keep going until you tell me it's not working.
Okay.
We actually have our annual fundraiser. This is the way that we fund the work of Cry Out, and it is this Saturday coming up at 6 p.m., 6 to 8:30 p.m. on Saturday, and it is close to the cross street of Jefferson and Arlington. If you want to get more information, yes, you could go to cryout.org. And you'll find that information on crowd.org. You could donate on crowd.org to support the work that we do. You know, a lot of, you know, the work that we do really, and a lot of these stories that we talk about is possible because of, you know, contributions from individuals and donors that just come along and say, hey, I care for these young people. I want to see more of this kind of work, you know, happen. So this Saturday, come join us. It's a free event. There'll be dinner. It's not a free event, actually. It's a paid event. It's $25 to attend, and there's dinner, but you'll love it. So please come hang with us.
Nice. And Mikey, can you share with us what can we expect from this event?
Man, it's gonna be turned up. What you mean? Man, so you'll get a taste of, you know, you hear about the mission and the vision of Cry Out, and you'll get a taste of kind of like what we've been doing. So some of the things that we've been talking about today, those programs. You'll hear from, you know, some of the people who've been connected with us and impacted by, you know, what it is that we've been doing, like community folks, you know what I'm saying, that kind of partner with us as well. And then, man, we're gonna have a show, right? You'll actually hear from the kids, from the youth, from the participants, right? Yeah, you will get to see them in action and all of their passion and all of their, you know what I'm saying, their talent. What we've been working on the last couple of months, you'll get to see that in a you know, cool little show at the end. So it would mean the world to come out and support them and everything. So that's kind of what it's kind of gonna be like.
Yeah, come out and support. I'm gonna be there front and center, you know.
Yeah.
In the show and just enjoying the good company. You know, there's always good company around Celestine and Mikey. So, you know, it's definitely worth, you know, coming out and just supporting these young people. So I want to ask you, where do you see Cry Out heading?
You know, if I'm 100% honest, I see Cry Out heading into a new generation leading it, right? I've done this work for 12 years, and as my kids are getting older, I just feel that my capacity to do this work and do it well is kind of you know, dropping, not necessarily, you know, because I'm no longer passionate, but just, you know, the things that I have going on. So I see crowd heading into, you know, the next generation of leadership. You know, it could be Mikey, you know what I mean? It could be, you know, because Mike has come in and really done crazy work with us. But that's why I see it heading. I see it becoming more visible in Los Angeles, you know, in Seattle. Everywhere you mentioned Cry Out, you know, when we're there, they knew what we're doing. So I would say more visibility in Los Angeles, and more connections with the school, so we can really get the program to these kids. Because the value that we offer, not a lot of, you know, we don't have the kind of relationships that people know. So what we end up having is like a school discovers us and they go, oh, wow, you know, we want everything y'all got going, right? And we have low capacity, so that really works for now. But I see us being able to scale and get that work that we do to more audience that needs it.
Yeah. Okay. So now I want to ask some very interesting questions. These are like some self-reflective questions now, because we're dealing with youth. And I know that when you're dealing with youth, you have to check in with self first, right? To be able to pour into somebody else, you're got to come from that space for yourself. So how would you describe adulting to your younger self?
That's a deep one. I would say really paying attention and valuing the role of a mentor. right? In my life, I think as a young man, and like any young man, there's a lot of you know, ambition, and there's a lot of ways that I saw the world. And I think I will probably, like, I'm grateful for where I am in life now, for sure. But as a young man, if I valued the voices of mentorship and mentors in my life more, and I kind of, you know, climbed on their shoulders, so to speak, to kind of observe life and kind of go through life, I feel like some of the bumps that I met along the road would have been avoided. You know, so I think that's probably what I would say to my younger self, is to you know, it's kind of like, if you think about it this way, I do a lot of DIY stuff. So I look on YouTube, you know, I want to build a little table. I just don't go start building it, right? I look at who's built it before. How did they do it? What were their challenges, right? So I do that with that kind of thing. And because I understand it just is a better approach, right? You don't make as much mistakes. I wish I did that with my life, right? I'm going to college. What about some people that have been there? You know, how did they, you know? So that's kind of what I would say to my younger self, is seeking to climb on the shoulders of people and learn from observation instead of experience.
Okay. I'm gonna pose the same question to you, Mikey, and I'm gonna answer after.
I would describe adulting to my younger self as taking ownership or responsibility, like, of your life. You know what I mean? Because I just, when I turned 30 last year, I was like, oh, like, I'm supposed to do that. You know what I mean? Like, not nothing, like, things aren't just supposed to come to me.
Right.
And it wasn't in an arrogant way, like, oh, I'm just not going to do anything and everything's just going to come to me. But I really was like, oh, if I'm a good person and I do the right things that I need to do, then, and I like have a strong, like, desire, and I clench, like, really tight, things are going to happen. Like, for real. And it's like, no, like, you have to do the work.
Right.
Not just that, but you have to learn how to do the work and, like, what that is. Something as simple as, you know, like, you need to take the time to, like, really open up your mail and, like, handle that, even though you may want to do something that is positive. Like, let me go mentor, let me go write this music, let me go and help somebody with something. Like, my life was a lot of that, and not, you know what I'm saying? Like, just the basics of, no, like, write out your to-do list and, like, take care of your man. Like, that's me taking responsibility, because don't nobody care. Like, don't, it's not, you feel me? So it's those things where it's like, oh, I have to grab it and, like, figure out what those things are. Like, I got to learn about investing. Like, I'm not just going to be a millionaire sitting here like, oh, I keep doing good things for good people. Something is just going to happen, you know? And so that's what it's been for me, is really like, Mike, you have to, you know, take, like, the authority over, like, your life, you know what I'm saying? And figure it out. If you don't know it, figure out how to figure it out. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, I agree with that. I feel like if I were to describe adulting to my younger self, it would be responsibility. You know, you have to take responsibility of everything, from your finances to how your house looks to what you look like, your dressing, you know, how do you appear to other people, but also just being able to say, hey, you know, I am in a position where I don't know and I need help, and I need to ask somebody else who may be doing this adulting thing so I can get a better idea and still take care of it, you know, because I know, like, coming from our neighborhoods, it's like, once you're 18, you grown. No, you just getting started. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, going away to college, I'm thinking I'm grown. I ain't got no money. I ain't got no job. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, no, I'm just away, you know? And so it's like that, like, just knowing, like, okay, well, you got to take this thing step by step. You need to ask if you don't know. I didn't even know how to dress when I was in college, especially when they're like dress up. You got to go to class dressed
The
up.
banquet, the sport banquet.
Yeah. I'm like, I ain't got nothing, so we got to rush down to Ross or something to go grab something. So I needed help with a lot of that. I was 17 going to 18. You know what I'm saying? So it was kind of like a interesting transition. So yeah. Okay. So now we're gonna still talk about the young people, but we're gonna take it off ourselves. What warning would you give to young people as they transition to adulthood? See, I love questions that bring silence. I guess I can start too. So I mentor 2 young people right now, and they're in that transitional age going from I'm 17 to, I'm 18, or I'm still 20 something, but I'm 23, but I hadn't been taught, like the basic necessities and the skills to transition from being a young adult to like an adult. I got to take care of myself. So, I would warn them that, like you have to really follow up on things. You know what I mean? Like, okay, well, you say, hey, I submitted my resume for this job. Well, did you call them to let them know that you're interested? You know what I'm saying? Like a resume is just a piece of paper. They haven't met you yet. Did you follow up with that? Or, you know, you have an opportunity and it's like, oh, they said they're going to give me this amount of money if I finish this program. And like we're talking about, did you finish that application to receive that? You know what I'm saying? Like those little things kind of helping them understand, like you can't just take people's word for things. You got to actually do the work to figure out what's that next step. So that's how I see it. Who's next?
I can go. I'll say that whatever that they do in life, to make sure that they do it well. And I think there's also a Bible scripture that says something to that effect, where it says, whatever your hand finds doing, do it to the fullest, right? And I feel like young people, because of they're so undecided, they're not sure what they want to do. They spend a lot of time in limbo, right? But as an adult, what I've come to realize is everything that I've done leading up to this point, the things that have built my self-confidence and the things that have, that I refer back to that helps me know I can do other things, are the things I completed and did well, right? If it was, going to school, being able to do that and do it well, don't have a reputation of starting and not finishing things. Don't have a reputation of giving people your word and not following through. Like this morning, I was super conflicted when I called you, Jay, because I had a conflict, for this interview, and it was a very serious thing for me because I can't say I'm going to be somewhere and not be. So I worked it out. Me, that value is very important because as a human being, if as a young person, if you just kind of get used to doing things and not being able to stand by it, you lose a lot. If it's cooking a meal, if it's getting your education, if it's loving on a friend or being there for a friend, you got to do it well, because if you have a reputation of not doing it well, that reputation spreads to the rest of your life.
That's real.
Man, what I would say is to really take the time to know yourself and to get to learn yourself. because from there, those are like the decisions that you make. You know what I'm saying? And if you know the type of person that you are, and knowing that the type of person that you are doesn't mean you'll always be that way, but just being like very intentional, always pursuing self-awareness. Because a lot of times you can pursue things and do things and not realize, oh, I'm doing this for other people. I'm doing it for this and that. And then you end up running circles. You end up going to school for something you didn't really want to do. You wasting time. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
not that you're wasting time, because we never are too old for something,
Right.
but it does help along the way. You know what I'm saying? To dodge certain, unnecessary aches and pains and heartbreaks and things like that. And really what it is, man, I think it's a better chance at having peace
Right.
as you navigate through life, because it's so chaotic. That's always going to be there. And so that's something that I'm learning is like, who am I? And like learning to think for myself as I'm processing things, because, just like what you said, Jay, like, hey, follow up. I know for me, I'm super nervous. Like, I feel like I don't want to be an inconvenience. I don't want to bother people. That's good to know, because following up is good. So now I can get the help that I need, the encouragement that I need to now be successful in that area. You, Celestine, you're like, hey, learn to do what you do and do it well, right? So that, and then also being like dependable, like, and loyal. And it's like, man, well, if I don't believe in myself, if I don't think I can really do it, and I struggle with, I may jump from here and then jump from there, because I'm like, keep backing out. Like, if you know that about yourself, then you can get the help to, to work on that. And that doesn't mean that you have to have those knocked out by the time you're 18 or 25, or, that would be another thing. Don't, be so strict on putting time limits. By the age I'm this, I want to do that. And do that, but don't attach your identity and your character and your worth to it. So if you get there and you don't do it, you're like, oh, I'm trash. I'm never gonna make it. It's like, no, you
try it again.
Readjust the goal.
Right.
And keep going, so that's kind of what I would say is like, I think self-awareness is like really, really valuable.
Yeah, and that self-talk is very important. And we talk a lot about that too, like just how you're talking to yourself when things are happening and when things may not be going your way. That's important, because that's the voice that you hear all the time.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's super important. But we're about to wrap up. But before we wrap up, I want to give both you guys a chance to just let the audience know how they can get in touch with you after the show. What platforms are you guys on and things like that? So Celestine, if you can go first, and then pick up Mikey after that, and then we'll be good.
Mike is actually the better person for that.
All right, start it off, Mikey. Go ahead.
Yo, so for Cry Out, yep. Website, cryout.org, Instagram, cryout_LA, Facebook, Cryout, YouTube, Cryout LA. You can find us on all of those platforms, man. I think that's it. And then for me, I'm Mikey.com. I am MYKIIE, 3 I's. Instagram, I'm Mikey. YouTube, I'm Mikey. Although that's where you can find Cry Out. I run that. So if you find Cry Out, you find me. And if you find me, you find Cry Out.
All right, cool. All right, you guys. So thank you for coming on the show today. We really, really appreciate you guys. But we're going to wrap up the show. Thank you all that are tuning in with our in-studio guests, our in-studio Jay Got Soul studio guests, Celestine and Mikey. We hope you enjoyed the show. But before we head out, please be sure to check out my website at jgotsoul.com. We have so much valuable content for you guys to check out. We also have merchandise for you to check out, which serves as a reminder that Black money matters. So act like it. So be sure to get caught up on episodes 1 through 14 on my YouTube channel. That's season 1, and stay up to date on season 2. You can find me at JGotSoul on YouTube. Thank you guys for watching. We are out.
Thank